Okay, yes, we have with us now Cllr Syrenius Cephas. Cllr Cephas, welcome.
Thank you.
Let me ask you first of all, are you on Facebook?
You know, I'm not on Facebook, but I do write on how they call it, WhatsApp most of the time.
Oh, okay. I see, because people have been parading with something that is believed to have been written.
It's by me. It's an excerpt. It's a satire written in the form like Mark Antony funeral oration over the death of Julius Caesar. So it is mine. It's an excerpt from my book.
Oh.
Title, I'm willing and unable.
I'm willing and unable.
Yeah, I am unwilling and unable.
I am unwilling and I am able. That is the title of the book. Is it a book being written?
Yeah, it's written already. We just sent it to our colleagues in the international world to look at and see their comments. So I just took an excerpt of that and put it on my WhatsApp page, and I see it's trending, you know.
Okay.
It's actually a satire, yeah.
Okay, I am unwilling and unable to criticize the Buakai government for a number of reasons. Few of these reasons are stated ad verbatim as follows.
Yeah.
1. Our government didn't promote and protect those who stood in the vanguard of the struggle during the party's days in opposition.
Do you dispute that?
I don't know. You tell us. I don't know.
Okay. I don't dispute that. It's a fact. For example, look. This government, to a large extent, has promoted those who stood within the vanguard of the struggle. Look, for example, look at Amos Tue. Look at the young men at the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation.
Moali.
And look in other areas of interest where there's a complete youth empowerment. And that is a symbolic beginning of a solid institutionalization of wealth creation and economic empowerment. And it will lay the fundamental foundation for the young men of that generation to learn how to manage and grow in state power. In our days, no.
Well, it could be argued that a whole lot of these young people were given assistant ministerial posts and all of that.
No. For example, could you have had any person of the generation of Amos Tue under the CDC government at LPRT? No.
Okay, we move on.
Then move on, yes.
Our government placed itself under the illusion of looking for experts and was comfortable of giving contracts, placing the likes of the current Minister of Justice on committees and boards.
The current Minister of Justice and Attorney General was the one who chaired the vetting committee of the current LACC configuration. I challenge him to deny it.
Oh wow.
Of course.
And you said at the expense of its own partisans, but then we could argue that he was being open to all Liberians to bring them on board. It was not just about CDC.
Your definition of being open should not be to the extent of your own people. For example, Julius, I have sued the Republic of Liberia, not the government of Liberia, the Republic of Liberia in a case. And the reason why I sued the Republic of Liberia, I made the executive branch a co-defendant, the legislature co-defendant, both houses, the Senate, and that. The reason is that this government inherited most of the problems that we have. So most time when people want to direct criticism at the government, those are age-old problems that have been living on since 1847. So on that basis, we are used the model, the 1847 model, to say, oh, you love our expert, blah, blah, blah. What expert my fault? Some of the experts that they claim to have dealt with are now in this government. Look at some of their output. Look at the opinion that were written in contrast to the Supreme Court. Look at that opinion, that expert opinion there. So
which one? You mean the one
in contrast,
delivered by the now Chief Justice designate?
Look at not the Chief Justice. I'm talking about the opinion of the Attorney General written in contrast to the Supreme Court ruling. Read it. Julius, read it.
Our leaders spend more time gossiping, fearing lies, and undermining those who did not share their sordid views. This is strong.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. For example, we created a political demagoguery. And at the hem of it was a Gopi or a political demagogue who only wanted to hear and could not reason beyond whatever we heard. That's true. Is it not lie? 4,
the president was like a Christmas light only seen at official ceremonies and was only accessible to only few officials.
Even the president was president of the republic, a sovereign president. Ask him how many times or what day he ever visited any of the ministry to ascertain what was happening there. The only time we saw him at public gatherings. Do you dispute that?
I don't know. You were there.
Of course.
5, we undertook a lot of good projects, but little results. Take example, the population census.
Yeah, for example, the president has some positive thinking. For example, the 10-year regime of the presidency, and there was a constitutional referendum. No sufficient publicity was done. Nothing, the census, nothing. In fact, the way the manner and form in which the census was conducted and the result became even more disputable. The census result created more crisis than we ever imagined. But again, because resources were short, we couldn't go back. Look at the issue of the constitutional, referendum. No publicity, nothing. Very good idea. Today it would have lessened. It would have served as a beacon for the further democratization of the republic. But it was never done. So therefore, we have now forced. It has been entrusted upon ineptitude as entrusted upon us the shoulder. The whole idea of 6 years, we have to live with it. If that exercise, good idea, was perfectly marketed, you will know. For example, in a book, there's a clause, there's a page in a book that deals with, for instance, the whole idea of the PAPD. The PAPD has no objective. Nobody can tell you which pillar was being implemented at certain phases because they didn't appoint, it was a policy decision, they needed a political office. Now, in a satire, the arrest agenda followed the same suit. So why would you criticize the arrest agenda when there is no political office, when they do policy director to guide? But look at, for example, American First Policy agenda of President Trump. They called an institute which I'm associating with called American First Policy Institute. Is that institute that serves as a guideline or a guarantor of the American First agenda. In the arrest agenda, it doesn't exist. In the PAPD, it doesn't exist. So do I have the guts to go criticize why the arrest agenda, if it will fail, why would I achieve anything? Because there's no policy director. There's no office. If you have the arrest agenda office who will coordinate the institutional, implementation of policy regime, because most of the institutions, the Ministry of Finance, blah blah, they are statutory institutions that are created by statute and they are guided by statutory policy. So the arrest agenda being a political objective or a political program must have a political officer. In the PAPD, it didn't exist because we didn't have the foresight. So what would be the basis for me to criticize the arrest agenda, for instance? So that whole thing is a satire. Now go ahead.
Yes, I'll read all of the points before I ask you key questions. In count 6, cabinet retreats were set aside for great fun rather than any meaningful exercise to discuss critical issues. The president was by and large the Gopio of the cabinet retreat. What does Gopio mean?
When in the 80s, when we were going to school, when they used to say you senior Gopio, it means somebody who is more or less a celebrated, super calm. It means you understand a lot of things and every form you got it. You are the one directing it. For example, cabinet retreat. Look at the last cabinet retreat before the regime phased out. That involved that was more or less critically centered around every mountain's performance at LACC. Nothing was achieved. The only thing was made to turn lash and bullet Mr. Martin into submission.
7. The president valued recycled politicians in the government more than those he called friends who were determined to serve his government.
Thank you. For example, if you watch there's an opinion that was written by me regarding the Liberia traffic management or regime argument that is now going. That decision was never taken into consideration. Why? Because certain people had valued themselves beyond what was met. I have contended and consistently contended that when the law is being passed, both houses signed into law by the president and printed into MPO, we should live by it. But if you have, for example, the leadership at the Ministry of Justice, for example, I mean, my brother, I don't even want to go into the specs because I just want to let it go. There were conditions.
The fact that you've written a book about these things, I think it's going to be a blockbuster. So it is not things that you want to let go. They are going to be etched for forever in history.
Yeah, but listen. For example, my brother. For example, this is a satire. So let's assume, or let's agree. In fact, I submit that we didn't do well in certain areas. Youth empowerment, for instance, we didn't do anything. If the government is not involved in youth empowerment, can you criticize? Can you say the government not involved in youth empowerment?
Okay, we'll come to those. Let me go to number 8. The government was reactionized. A sort of odd reasoning that is reminiscent of George Orwell's Animal Farm, so much that kids that were born into poverty were living like kings and queens.
If you read George Orwell Animal Farm, you will notice, for example, after all major had a dream that the coup took place, Napoleon, what he did is that he took charge of the farm. And they started to behave like human. They started to behave far beyond than those that they succeeded, that they made the overthrow. Napoleon was everything. In fact, at one point, he reached a point when a snowball they could blame. But everything that Napoleon never wrong. Napoleon never wrong. So they created a sort of political demagoguery. And Napoleon became the political demagogue. It was almost the same in the CDC. The president never went wrong. Nobody challenged the president. Everything the president said was correct. Even in the event where policy
did you try to challenge as the Solicitor General?
If you look at the stratification of the Ministry of Justice in terms of power, your configuration, the Solicitor General only focuses at the Supreme Court. Go and read Title 12, Liberian Code of Law revised 22.4. It tells you where the Solicitor General is supposed to be. The Solicitor General does not see the president. It's not the Solicitor General responsibility. The person whose responsibility is here to do all these things is a Minister of Justice who is more or less a political appointee.
But did you have meetings with your boss to say so you need to communicate this with the president?
The man was absolutely erratic and irrational. It was difficult to even look. I think you must have read an opinion that I wrote regarding Liberia traffic management regime issue.
No, I haven't read it. You should send it to me.
You must just tell me hi on your WhatsApp. I'll send it to you.
Okay, good.
You should not, because even in that opinion, I indicated clearly that we should not go any beyond. When the thing was signed into law, pass, blah blah blah, president signed it, blah blah blah. Let the people have their thing, because it is the government that gave our own services. Now the issue of mortgaging the rights of Liberians that are involved in the thing, the Liberian have a right to challenge it, because no government should pass law that dispossess the Liberian people of a certain basic fundamental rights, as are done in a case or against how they call them B mounting. I said you can't pass law that will dispossess the people from their land. You don't have that authority. No government get that authority. Okay. But to do that, we can't sue the government, we sue the republic. So,
okay.
Yes.
We move on to count 9. Liberian foreign policy was on sale and could only go to the higher bidder, even at the peril of national development. Take, for instance, the 2 separate votes against China.
Listen, there was one vote against China that caused all our problem to start. For example, there was a human right or resolution that was tabled by France. All the countries from Africa voted against it. Some extends, including Ivory Coast, the only country in Africa that voted with France or Liberia. Now, we needed some level of development. You saw about the overhead bridges that they wanted to build. That is the objective of President Weah. It's President Weah policy. He initiated a whole discussion. How you expect China to support you when you're voting against China? In fact, what you needed to do was just to walk away and abstain. But you did that. What did we get from voting along with France at the expense?
Hello? I'm not hearing him again. What has happened?
I'm done. What is number 10?
Oh, yeah, but we couldn't hear that any part.
I'm saying the overhead bridges projects that we heard will be taking place is Weah's dream. Great idea. The Rafi Highway, great idea. But what benefit do you get when the whole of Africa vote against or abstain from supporting France on the human rights resolution at the United Nations against China about the Uyghur? What do you get? Including, just imagine, including Africa voting against France. Oh my God.
Number 10.
And we voted with,
Number 10. Only personal friends of the president were favored for lucrative jobs.
I need not to tell you. In instances where other people were given the job, they were just the job in frame. In substance, the friend had a key to this job. It's evident. I mean, a lot of the guys will complain about that. But in my case, it was almost the same. I was the Solicitor General in him. I never benefited anything. In fact, today I'm happy. Let me tell you, I'm really, really happy. When I saw the prosecution department of the Ministry of Justice, including boys that work with me, every one of them being given cars and they can move around and the prosecution fund is being paid. I'm happy because that's what we wanted and that's what we opted for. We never got. We sending people to sign up to go and defend the government like Liberia. We got to pay their way. Sometimes we don't have the money to pay their way. Can you imagine that?
And number 11, the structural leadership of governance in terms of power configuration was in the hands of Southeastern vis-a-vis minority tribe crew, namely the president, pro tempore, and deputy speaker. When I think of all these, I feel guilty about criticizing the current government. Beyond this, our former president, who was fond of making music during his presidency, is now on social media dancing all over the place. What else is shameful and childish than this? I don't have criticism for GMB. Yeah.
Well, he said it all. For example, the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, when I was part of the organizing committee of the African Bar in Niger, he and I were guests of honor. We addressed the African Bar because I delivered a special statement from the European Bar as representative of the president of the European Bar. I was then vice president of the European Bar. We were there. The man recently was appointed by the United Nations as peace ambassador, endorsed by China, endorsed by Russia, endorsed by France, endorsed by the United States. Our former president is a global icon. When you debate, you said in such a fashion, in the street dancing with boys. Who takes you serious? Nobody. Nobody takes you serious. For example, whenever I go, and that's the problem I have, I think in the fullness of time, I will maybe change my nationality. Because when I go, my friend laugh at me. I'm due to travel to the Hague in September. I'm due to, when I go there, oh my man, oh yeah, president, show me, you know, I say, oh, the mail, just kidding with the kids. That's not good. That's not a good promotion. We used to have the belief that the presidency was such a use something and say George Weah became president. When he started singing, we say, oh, okay, maybe he is sometimes stressful. But that you will leave power and be in the street of it, singing and be dancing, and at the same time playing street football in Accra. What's going on?
Now, you came back and said, before I go to the other questions I need to ask, let me go there. Okay. You came back and then wrote again, in this regime, I am ignored because I am not a partisan. But in mine, I was ostracized. It's better to be ignored and to live your life freely than to be ostracized by your government that you helped to bring to power. I was forced to resign, but in the case of Toy and others, they carried on.
Yeah. So that tells you there are two tier parties in the CDC. They favor and the periphery. We were the periphery. For example, we got punished for working for the government of Liberia under the president. Hey, for God's sake. And wrongly, without any investigation consistent with due process, to the extent where me in particular was demanding that I wanted to face my accusers, I needed to be tried, let me have my day in court, which is the law of the land. The president for whom we work, the sovereign president of this republic, who exercises three different and distinct functions under Article 50, head of state, head of government, commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia, had the guts, with not standing by a sovereign citizen, but instead of decide to push them under the bus, demanded that we resign. But Tantra was not for Rye alone. And then he came the second time around. This time around, he was brave enough to defend them to the end. That was unfair. First and foremost, I still maintain my innocence and I challenge my accuser. I said, I'll be prepared any day, any time to face them in court. But if they fail, then the world will hear the other story. You will hear they know what we stand for. So the president needed to support me, as stand by me in my hour of need. In the case of my other friends, he supported them. They didn't care for me. They assumed that we would fall. But there is always a God that is bigger than every other thing. You know? So they're coming back in 2029. It's a recipe that for what we suffer or what I suffer, it should be a recipe for what we support and say, yeah, the president, oh no, I can't tell you, the president did this. What's going on?
Now, the governing party folks are saying that because of the national prayer today, this is why you are confessing. How do you respond to that? That you are confessing? It is a prayer.
Confessing to what now? Confessing to what? That me the subject and predicate of the prayer. First and foremost, me tell you this.
Yeah.
That was a satire. For example, the president of this republic, you can quote me word for word, has no authority, absolutely no constitutional authority to declare holiday. But what did they do? On Monday, they waited until Tuesday to declare a Wednesday. Even if you were to challenge it and say you're going to go to challenge it, before you reach the court say, oh my man, the issue is moot. So if for example, criticize the government for doing something that is illegal, when we did more illegal things than what they have done, the first place I'm going to ask myself, what specific injury do I suffer as a Liberian citizen for the president declaring today holiday, even though it's illegal? So where's the confession coming from? Somebody who says that he doesn't know why he's talking. You know, I don't get involved into religious with politics. People
just think that their prayer is now working, and this is why you are confessing. But sir,
Article 15B gives Liberian citizens the right to hold an opinion separate and distinct from the opinion of other people.
So if I'm understanding you are saying that even if bad things are happening in this government, because it's happening in yours, so you don't have the moral ground to critique them. But others may argue that this government came to power on the very basis of those things, that you all were doing the very wrong things, and the Liberian people should give them the chance to do what is right. So you should
do the same wrong thing, right?
No, right. To do what is right. So if they are doing the wrong things, then you still have the moral authority to critique because you were ousted from power for doing the wrong things.
No, we're not ousted from power for doing the wrong thing. You know what we're ousted from power? You know what?
Go ahead.
We were morally myopic and intellectually short-sighted, and to a large extent, we had no exit strategy or defensive strategy. You know, that's the problem we have. For example, ask us, say, where are your tally sheets for the election? We don't have it. Ask us, how was the campaign run? When the president goes to a village, the whole Monrovia will go there. When the president leaves, the whole Monrovia leaves. So you expect to win election like that? You expect to, we have no strategy. Absolutely no strategy. It's our own inaction that defeated us. Not the Liberian people.
Well, others may ask, when did you realize this? Are you disappointed in the CDC machinery and all of that? And are you trying to do this to curry favor from the current administration, especially you say you are being ignored because of your association with the past government and all of that, and when you do these things then you will curry favor, perhaps needing something also?
Needing something like what?
What are his job or whatsoever?
Now, only two things I know better in my life. Only two things. None of which the government can give me. Only two things. I know about prosecution. The next thing you know, I'm an agronomy, I'm a soil scientist. They can't give it to me. I don't even wish to be favored for anything. I don't. I'm a lawyer already. When some people beat their wives, some people want divorce, somebody steals somebody's land, when people fighting over land issue, when they will come to me, I will leave. So where's the issue of what we were there yesterday? We were doing yesterday. We didn't do well. The Liberian put it all out. It shouldn't be my prayer that the other people should fail. Because by ignoring me, I appreciate it. It makes me to live freely. But if I'm opposite as I was, I was depressed, man. Can you imagine for a government that you work will be the first to sacrifice you? Can you imagine that?
And since your time out of power, have you had any conversation with former President Weah, with the higher ups in the CDC, and all of that? What is leading you along this path? What do you hope to achieve?
Listen. Let me tell you, for example, the man who they have in the asset recovery, which is my idea that I brought to Liberia from the International Association of Prosecutors, is a brother, somebody that will work together. The other day I was in court confronting him. He on the other side defending the CDC people, including the former foreign minister, that they put him in trial. So I don't need favor. I am saying that only one area the government is not doing whatever they expect about that issue of playing a tribal card, ostracizing the people from Southern Liberia. They were addressing another time. That's not my business. If the government does wrong or is doing wrong, I don't have the moral ground, that's what I'm saying, to criticize this government, because those were the very things we did that took us from power. So if they continue to do that, the Liberian people in 2029 will take them from power. It is not me to stand up and say, you're not doing it, you're not doing it, you're not doing it. The question will be asked, but you were there, you didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? That's why you remove us from power. We were voted out of power because we didn't do what we were supposed to do, right? So if the government is not doing those things, it's not my business to criticize them. Time will count, the Liberian people will take a decision.
Well, the CDC wants to come back to power 2029, perhaps with Mr. Weah as the candidate again. Do you think it will be a good thing for them to be considered, or what? Do you think they need to make a whole lot of reforms for Liberians to reconsider them, or what? What do you think?
You know, my perception is not strong. It does not encompass the rest of the people of the Republic of Liberia. For example,
you are an opinion leader here. So what you say carries weight. This is why you wrote something and it has taken the internet by storm. It's all in the news and all of that. So what you say carries weight. Is the CDC going to be a viable option for 2029 or not? Should they be reconsidered or not?
Thank you. You know, I said, when I was speaking, I said Article 15B gives a Liberian citizen the opportunity and the right to hold an opinion separate and distinct from that of a national opinion. For example, if the president in that bill, a coastal highway, a Liberian citizen, and if the president doesn't know why he's talking, that would not constitute an offense to the presidency. In my opinion, the CDC is a pedestal for youth empowerment, and it remains the most viable political opposition as we speak. But the challenges, the political variables that may unfold in 2029 will come up, and it will be a challenge for the CDC to address some of the concerns that key members have raised to be able to make the kind of impact it wants to make. But until then, it remains an opinion. It's not practical.
I don't know. I don't know. Were you or are you a seditian?
That's a nice question. And I'm a proud Liberian.
Are you a partisan of the CDC, sir?
Well, I'm not a partisan. You know, I don't play to partisan politics. For example, I believe that people should be given opportunity to serve based on what? There are three things, and that's why my colleagues supported me when I wanted to be the defense counsel for Joseph Kony from Uganda. The court was looking for what? Experience, competence, and qualification. And everybody, the African bar, the European bar, the RMCT, everybody agreed I was the winning president except that race, the brother race. So I don't rely on the whole idea of partisan. But as a sin.
No, but sir, it is one thing that you stated in one of the accounts that the former administration was considering other people other than partisans who stood with them in the trenches.
No, really, I was simply saying favoring. It was not me as a president. I was simply saying favoring those young men and women that stood with the CDC. I was not speaking for them in that capacity. I was not speaking for myself. For example, some of the boys that are today on social media, those were the boys that I saw when I was at the Ministry of Agriculture. I saw the list that is sent for employment. All were rejected. You understand? So I was just speaking for them. I was not speaking for myself.
Okay. Will we see you writing more and more? Will we see you taking a tougher line against the CDC and all of that?
Listen to this. In that book that I completed, that I sent out, there's a chapter there specifically on this government and why it is. I think there's some error that is being made by the president to assume that you can ignore or silence Southeastern. I think it's a serious political miscalculation. For example, my brother, they are the first group of people that tested power. They are the first group of people that challenged the political status quo in 1918, the Southern War. All the differences and disagreement that have come into this country always come from the Southeast. I think the president, he doesn't need to give them cabinet position here, but he need to appoint them on a committee so that he continue to engage the people in the Southeast. But to stay politically ostracizing them and you try to loofanize the government, it's a serious political miscalculation on the part of the president. And I think every Liberian who loves Liberia should also advise the president to at least make the thing workable. You understand?
Okay.
That's a chapter in that book. If I publish it, if I release it, there will be a time bomb again.
Cllr Cephas, thanks so kindly for taking my call. I will let you go. I look forward to a future interview, but this is a blockbuster and we'll ensure that we post it on all our social media channels so people can be able to watch and rewatch and watch and rewatch.
Thank you. And remember, it's a satire. We read Mark Antony oration over the death of Julius Caesar, you will know. I have come to bury the real regime, not to praise them. Because the evil that met God lives after him and the good is up in time with the body. And so let me be
Caesar. The noble Brutus had told you that Caesar was ambitious.
Aha.
So the way I hear you speak is that there is no way back for CDC.
Well, I don't know, but CDC did not die. But Julius Caesar died. He was murdered.
Yeah, but you said you came to bury the regime of CDC.
Yeah, not to pray. I came to bury the regime. But now a regime we're talking about from 2000. What year was that? What year?
2018 to 2023.
Okay, that's why I came to bury and not to praise it. Legu is up in there with his body, so let be with
CDC.
Yeah.
Okay, Cllr Cephas, thanks so kindly. Just few calls. Our guest is here. Wow. Former Representative Acarous Gray was calling. I will take him briefly to balance it. Hopefully tomorrow he will accept my invite to to come to expand on this and something else that we needed to speak about. So let me call our former Representative Gray, who was calling in. This is the OK Conversation on OKFM 99.5. Former Representative Gray, I was trying to call you. I'm trying to call you. Let me call you on the other number. Let me call you on the Lone Star. Watch out for my Lone Star number calling you right now. You were calling in when he was on. What's happening? What is happening? I need to go to my guest. Okay, I think we have him now. Welcome, sir. What is your immediate first reaction to Cllr Syrenius Cephas's very scathing critique of your regime?
Judas, thank you very much for calling me back. But I think the statement by Syrenius Cephas, in my opinion, in my view, that's the beauty of the mighty Congress of Democratic Change. The interspersed of views. I don't think we should dignify or go further with what Syrenius has said. As an institution and as a party, we must respect what he has said. We move on. We shouldn't be like Unity Party who are American and speak you run behind him. I don't think so.
But can you admit that there's a whole lot of truth in what he said? Because these are some of the things. Hold on, sir. Hold on. Can you agree that some of these are true? Because I can remember us hosting you, citing some of these things as well when your government was still in power. There was a point when you became very agitated about some of the things that were happening in the government.
When you hosted me, my debate was very clear that a person that Syrenius Cephas needed to have left the government. I was very clear on the issue of reshuffle. Yes, nothing changed about my question about reshuffle and the issue of the honeymoon. I believe Syrenius Cephas was not a good deputy minister at agriculture. I believe that he was not a good assets recovery chairman. I believe he was not a good Solicitor General. I was clear about that internally within the CDC. But I just want to say publicly that I don't think that we should follow dignified Syrenius' statement. He has the right to say what he said. That's the beauty of the CDC. We need to focus our attention and forge ahead. We know the timing of the statement on today's date, especially when people concentrating on another things, diversionary tactics. So we should not dignify him, Judas. That's what I really call to say publicly. That forge ahead, that move ahead. The CDC, one good thing he said the CDC has a UFO base, a mass base, and the CDC is not dead, according to him. He spoke about the viability of the CDC as a political
do we expect to see some changes in the CDC as a result of all of these critiques losing power, all of these critiques? Do we expect to see a new and better George Weah as a leader and all of that?
Judas, when you talk about better, we have always been a better leader. I don't think we want to transform that into a debate when you.
No. I said better, which means good. Could be, but good can
he's a better leader compared to the Quaker-led administration. Now, the next thing here is that.
Hello.
And Judas, what I can say to you, for example, you talk about reform within the CDC. Every political party after election will have consistent reforms. So there's not an argument about that.
Okay.
But for Syrenius to be the one talking about reform, like I said, we don't want to dignify him. But he served a lot of positions in the CDC. He left when he was sanctioned. He didn't raise this issue like maybe Acarous would say there is a need for the honeymoon to be over. We need reshuffle in the government. He didn't do that. So he's not the best moral judge.
Okay,
so
thanks.
At this critical juncture, the CDC should not respond to him or
I am expecting to have you at 5 o'clock till tomorrow so we can expand on a whole lot of things.
Much. And the show will be on political fire. I can guarantee you we'll be there.
Okay, thanks. So kindly, just 2 more calls. Folks, our guest is here, very patiently seated. Quickly, let's hear you, Assistant Minister Rahim Bility. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, thank you for accepting my call. I'm usually not too comfortable to talk about other political party, but listening to Syrenius Cephas and when he mentioned our former president, that compels me now to call, because as a Liberian citizen, whoever has been president or will be president becomes somebody that is a representation of us. For him to have squarely put it to see that our former president will be on the streets of Accra. I don't know that is true, but on the streets of Accra playing street football, I think it's something that's embarrassing for us as Liberians, because the presidency is not just ordinary. Once you have occupied that position, you have to.
Others say it is a mark of humility, of humble beginnings. He has always been that kind of person. Humble, goes back to his roots, places that he lived before, places that he played before.
Julius, humility doesn't mean you lower the standard of the office of which you've occupied. I mean, every office, every position or responsibilities come with some corresponding behavior. So, as you yourself, as a journalist in the studio, you could be taking off your shirt on the street if that was the case. Because of some responsibilities that you've occupied before or that you occupy now, you conduct yourself in such a way. So,
okay.
I think the CDC should try to advise Mr. Weir.
Okay. Thanks so kindly. Let's take this one from overseas second to last. Welcome quickly. Let's hear you.
Good afternoon, Julius. Frank James in the call from Paris.
Yes, quickly.
You know, I went through the piece of the councillor. There are some hard truths there, Julius. There are some hard truths, and those things are very true during the CDC government. You know, Julius, I said one time on your show that there were a lot of jobs, and President Weir did not give us those jobs. So we shouldn't blame Joseph Boakai when he gave me the jobs, when the jobs are there. Some of those jobs have not been created by Joseph Boakai himself. They are constitutional. So the jobs should be given. Then the assistant minister job. So what passed away today is assistant minister because of the cost he made during the CDC government. But that look at some steward. Those are simple actually to bring the CDC government to power. They were so lying. They were not giving jobs to work. Those children who used to be the vendor, they got Mr. Yanti. Those guys from the reading room. Those guys around there for jobs, and they were so lying. And that was bad. And I think the CDC do not come back to themselves. It's going to be tough in 2029. Because the government itself was not actually funded by the propaganda. The rift between the president and the vice president at the time, that makes the CDC government to a larger extent, Julius. And in 2022, we found the vice president coming to make time with the president. That caused a serious damage to the CDC.
Okay. Thanks so kindly.
Up to date, Julius, up to date, the CDC are not even started united at the party.
Okay. Thanks so kindly. I have a sermon for CDC next week. A sermon. I will deliver a sermon.
Hello, Julius.
Yes, the final call. Go ahead. Let's hear you quickly.
My name is Mamensi Kaba. Since Cllr Cephas says he does not want to talk about the bad governance that we all are experiencing carried out by the Unity Party-led government, I respect his decision. But as a lawyer, he just confirmed that the president's action to have declared today as a holiday is illegal. Based on this, I want to express my dissatisfaction in our president for clearly disrespecting our laws repeatedly.
So all the thing I talk about CDC, you want to talk about that Joseph Boakai?
Why you not as a United Party man? The party the man talk about regarding United Party, why he can't talk about it. We all have the right to talk about what we want to talk about. I am saying this president promised the Liberian people to do the right thing, to make a difference, to right the wrong, to come back to power and continue to do wrong. It's unfortunate and he must apologize to the Liberian people. No amount of declaration of prayer can change that. He has to change his attitude, change his behavior, be a respecter of the law. He's not setting any example. As a president who has already enjoyed age, I believe that he should set the example than to be violating the law, regretless way. He's not even regretful about it. It's unfortunate, Julius, that we must talk about it.
Thanks.
The lawyer has just told you that he violated the Constitution, and you as a journalist should be talking about it. Do not be afraid.
Thanks so kindly.
The law is the law, and the president should respect the law. He's not above the law. Why should he declare a holiday outside of the Constitution?
Thanks so kindly, Mama C. Kaba. The time is out. We spoke lengthily about that yesterday. We challenged those who say the president was legally right to provide the legal reliance, and they didn't. So